All right, so your homework for this week is to take one JPEG image, right? One image of anything, fields, trees, cats, dogs, cows, whatever. And create three different versions of it using image adjustment tools. And I got the three different themes here: dramatic, vintage, and psychedelic. So I want you to be using adjustment tools, but not filters, not putting in other images, not, that stuff we'll get to later. And I already know that when you get to vintage, it's going to feel incomplete because there's no scratches or, anything like that. That's later. We're just looking at the color and tone and getting you used to using those tools towards a goal. So you can use any picture that's yours. You can use pictures that you find elsewhere. Um, be wary of a couple of things. I don't know why the image. Okay, so for example, don't use something that's already color corrected because trying to like do anything with this is impossible. And they've already kind of done the work for you. So we want the original image to be just like whatevs, right? We want it to be just an image. The other thing is make sure Creative Commons is selected because we want you to be using that. And go away. Um, and again, make sure when you're selecting the image to start with that it's not the huge version. It's, 1000 or 2000 pixels. Doesn't have to be that big. I don't want it to be 150 either. You want to be working with like an average size document. But one of the things you're going to do is you're going to go over here where it says share photo and you're going to get the shortened link. It's called a truncated link. And instead of see that this is the usual link to get to the image, this is the short one. This is the one I want you to take and copy. And when you submit this homework, paste it in here. I'm going to be checking that you're using things that are not copyrighted. And you also need to get used to citing things. And this is the shortest citation you'll ever have to write. If you were doing this for the library, you'd need to have the name of the image and the author and when it was and where you found it, etc., etc. I just need the link from you so that I know you're paying attention to it. All right? But we're going to go back out because I don't actually want to submit that. So when you're working with this in here, keep your layers organized. I want to see them as layers. I don't want to see image adjustment and then like stuff is done to it. I want to see what it is you're doing. This is sort of me tracking your work. If I don't see the work on it, right, if I just see the finished product, you're not going to get as many points because I won't know how you did it. And I won't know that you didn't use color lookup. I cannot stress this enough. This is like so cheap. Futuristic bleak. Ugh. Whatever. Like, I want you to know how to desaturate it, how to change the lighting. That's the point of this assignment. So, for example, let's see, for the, who's and what's it one? The, vintage. Um, I can turn down the saturation so there's not very much color. I can also, I'm doing this very quickly. If I take these bottom notes right here and I kind of, so that there's not as much contrast. I can't, the dark sign is dark, the white sign is white because the image is, faded. There's also, let's see here, I would need to make a duplicate layer of this so that it wouldn't be so severe, but I could. There's actually another hue saturation trick. I'll show you that one. If I duplicate this layer and I bring it up here, and I make another hue saturation. So you can have multiples of the same type of adjustment layer. There's this colorize, which will turn the whole thing to a little bit of whatever color you want, including sepia colored, whatever you want to call it. And you can see that if you do that this severely, you're getting, I'd call this, I guess, crushing. There's not enough information there for it to be that color. But fear not, I can turn this down. Oh, whoops. I have to make sure hue saturation, there we go, only goes across the one layer. So if I turn down the hue saturation on this like all the way, there we go. And I can also turn this to, I don't know, a color burn. No, 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 no. Soft light, something like that. Overlay. So I can get the, it's making it too dark. So I'd have to, tinker with these things a little bit. But there's, haha, there we go. See, this is what happens when you don't plan ahead. But I can start to get from that original photo something that looks a little, little different. I should probably put the levels all the way up here so that I'm tamping down on all of the levels. And I also still have to fix that we want to make sure that while we're working on this, we're not degrading the image at all. Because if you look at the original, it's a little icky, but it doesn't look too bad. So I have to, tinker with that a little bit, fix it. All right, so that would be the idea of vintage. Psychedelic, go to town. Make it more crazy, not less, right? Push these things more, not less. That would be my advice. Because you can always walk it back, but, getting people to push further is usually a little bit harder. And then dramatic might even be the opposite of this, like harsher lighting, more saturation. This is already a mildly dramatic photo, so it's a little bit easier. Trying to make this look dramatic would be harder. But whatever image you pick is always going to lend itself to one of those ideas. All right, so use the same photo for all 3 exercises. I know it says here something about submit 3 PSDs plus the original. Because you're submitting PSDs, don't worry about submitting the original. It's there. As soon as I turn off the layers, I can see what the original is. So make sure you're keeping an unadulterated version of your layer in the file itself, but you don't need the separate 4th, file or JPEG. When you go to save any of these, the first time you save it, it's going to come up with a dialog box because you don't have any file that exists yet that's a PSD. You have JPEGs of these files because that's how they start. So you're going to have to, there we go, dramatic, my last name, please put your last name on all the files, and I hit save. And so now every time I make a change, and I know I have to make a change because there's an asterisk right there, so I have to save it. Now when I hit save, it'll just save like you're used to. So the first time you save, when something starts as a JPEG and you add layers, it brings up this. And it'll try to save it to your downloads folder. So for any of you, needing to know what you're working with, that's where it's going to go the first time. And I probably spelled something wrong. All right, and I want the PSD files. Again, I want to see your work. If you don't show me that work, then I make assumptions based on there having been less done. So follow directions, make sure I'm getting the PSD files. And also, when you submit these, make sure you're giving it enough chance to upload. If I go to uploading these, here we go. Say that. Do I still have this saved? Haha. So it's when you hit submit that it actually is uploading. It doesn't actually upload when you select the things. It's uploading now. And it doesn't really say so anywhere, I don't think, in Chrome. I think in Firefox it might tell you it's uploading. So you have to wait for it to upload. And I think my files are a little bit too big, so I'm not going to make you wait here this whole time. But, oh yeah, my files are huge, so this is going to take a while. But make sure you're waiting until it gets to the next page before you close your browser. There it is. Oh, it says not saved. I broke something. That's awesome. So if you're getting this error, bring your files to class tomorrow, and I will make sure that they get up there. So yeah, I'm guessing it was too big. So there's ways to shrink files. All right. So make sure you're paying attention to that, and make sure you get them uploaded if you can. And if you have any questions, send me an email.